Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Chill Like a Mother podcast. It has been a while since I have had a guest. We are here with Jessica Dunn today. We are going to talk about finding help, creating hope, getting to a place of hope when you are parenting and or raising people with neurodivergence. I am Kayla, who's our host of the Chill Like a Mother podcast, and I am a counselor and coach for moms. So to bring you up to speed, Jessica and I did a three-part series 3 years ago
Yeah, it's been
on
a while.
parenting and living ADHD and or neurodivergent lives. And we
Mhm.
checked in with each other about a year ago. We did another episode then. And so today we're both at this place where we'd like to reflect on those early days of diagnosis and where things have progressed and where they're now at.
Thanks for having me on again. It's actually really awesome that we could reconnect and reflect on how things have been, remembering the early days of when we heard the diagnosis happen and where we were at as a parent and not knowing what the hell we're going to do with that information, feeling so overwhelmed, not knowing what to expect and all the worries that came along with that to today where we were just kind of hashing out oh my gosh, things are pretty chill and calm right now. And if you would have told me that this is going to be the case 4 years from yes, for 4 years ago, I probably would have laughed in your face. I did not think we would be here today. So I think it has a lot to do with a lot of early intervention, a lot of giving yourself some grace and really using the tools and supports that are available to you early on and just being a good parent and listening. Yes, I feel like there's hope there. And I wish I would have found an episode like this early into the diagnosis because all I was hearing is doom and gloom. I was really nervous about what lied ahead, and I didn't really hear a lot of these podcasts of all of the great little wins that we had and how the trajectory has been going incredibly well.
Yeah. Okay. To catch up the listeners, if they have not listened to any of those other episodes, let's both give just like a quick summary of what maybe we were dealing with then and maybe how things have like shifted or changed. So for me, um around the same time with Jessica, around 4 years ago, we were pursuing a ADHD diagnosis for my oldest, myself, and my partner, and agreed. It's when you're like, okay, this might be the thing that gives me the answers. It's going to give me the roadmap on how to respond. And then you get to that next marker in the map, and it's like you could go in 5 different directions, and there is no one right direction for anyone. There's a lot of really great directions. And
Yeah.
so when I think about those early days, it was like, okay, we just need to get through the assessment. And then we just need to get through the diagnosis. And then we just need to get through organizing, responding to figuring out the treatment plan. And then we need to do the treatment plan. And that in itself can shift and change. And you've got like outsider opinions and insider opinions and doctors and family and friends and OTs and counselors. And, there's all of this information flying at you. And nobody's really saying what you need to do because they're all, maybe outside of the unsolicited advice, they're all kind of saying like, this is maybe what you need. This maybe might work. This
Right.
thing might help, because none of them can
Right.
say like medication
Right.
is going to change your life. Occupational therapy is going to change your life. Diet's going to change your life. Exercise is going to change your life. Like none of these people can actually say, this is the 5 steps.
Yeah, because it's so individualized. Everybody is so different with this diagnosis. Like obviously there's some main similar characteristics and symptoms that our kiddos really share and are very similar, but then there's some that are very different. So some modalities of support will shine and will work miracles almost. And then some just like don't work, right? Like they're just don't, your kid doesn't respond to it. And you just have to kind of figure out what works best for your kid. We were very privileged in the sense that I know you have a few followers from all over Canada and the United States, but I live in Saskatchewan where some support for people. My daughter is also autistic as well. So she has both ADHD and autism. So we have some funding to help with that, along with my husband has great benefits. But all that runs out pretty quickly if you're doing stuff on a regular basis, OT, speech, just psych appointments. And there's just so much tutoring, like all that stuff. So it does financially have a strain on you, but we were very lucky that we did have some funding to help with that. And since she does have that autism diagnosis, we were able to apply for the disability tax credit, which was massive for us to help her out. But that our funding also is done after age 12 in Saskatchewan. So we knew that if we wanted to get some help for her, we were going to have to do it soon and early. And thank goodness we got that diagnosis earlier than she was diagnosed at 5 when we got it. So we've had 5 years of actual intervention of some sort. I know a lot of parents almost struggle to even get to the assessment because they don't want their kid to have that label. But it was all that we needed that label in order for her to get the support she needed. And I am just so grateful that like I trusted my gut and got on it early from 5 years ago to, to the behavior that she was displaying at 5 to today is just night and day difference about the reflection of like where they are from here to then, because we don't even really stop and think about that sometimes. It's just like the little things that we celebrate, like from just her being able to get up in the morning and she gets herself up early in the morning. She is showering on her own. She's getting ready. She's making her breakfast. Like these are things that we thought like were never going to occur without help, without like having a buddy helping her through the whole morning. So these early interventions were so, so important, made such a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a large body of research for the people who need some like science backing. This isn't just like two moms talking about this one
Yes.
experience in a silo, you know? It's like there is a large body of research specifically done by Russell Barkley around early intervention and how early intervention can actually heed off some of those like lifelong difficulties that a lot of us late diagnosed ADHD people have to curb and change and like recalibrate to an adulthood. Like, oh my God, I've been doing this thing for my whole life. And it was because of this thing, right? Because of the way
Right.
the brain is wired differently. And so
Mhm.
there was a talk recently that I was watching done by Russell Barkley, and he said, if you can, no shame if you can't, but if you can get intervention before they are 12, not only for the funding, not only for school, not only for any kind of like character development or like any of those things, if you can get intervention before 12, the research shows that the kids actually feel less shame about it.
Exactly.
And it heeds off a lot of those, like the behaviors that we see in adults who haven't
Yes.
had the scaffolding, who haven't had the
Right.
support, because they're not having to recalibrate to this diagnosis, these 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. And like recalibrating then their life in backwards motion, right? Like, oh my God, this thing could have been so much different. I would have made this different decision, this different career, this different thing because I would have had this scaffolding. Now, that's not true for everyone. There is also a body of people who say, like, if I would have been diagnosed in the 80s or the 90s, I'm pretty sure my life would have taken a different trajectory because I would have been in that different classroom. I would have been in that other thing.
Maybe.
Like it would have been so socially detrimental. So like as we're having these conversations, I just wanted to like name that for people because
Yeah,
it's
it is a good point.
the like the stigma around it is still there now, but it's very different now
Yeah,
than
it
30
is.
years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the early invention, I have like also read a lot of stuff of Russell Barkley's and just the the negative connotations of having ADHD and not knowing it, like always feeling like you screwed up, you're not good enough, you're getting yelled at 5 to 20 times more than the average kid every single day because you're not keeping up or you're not paying it. Seems like you're not paying attention or you're behaving out of um, out of aggression for a reason. And like all these things that are not true, it just really impacts their self-esteem and their confidence and saying, oh, actually, no, I'm behaving this way because my brain is wired differently. Puts a whole different context on my daughter. And she's just more able to figure out coping mechanisms now because of the early interventions. She doesn't feel less than, she just feels different. And we just have to figure out how to adapt life so she can thrive in it now. And if we didn't have these early interventions with the psychiatrists and the OT to make them feel like they know what they're becoming more self-aware and figuring out what to do in certain situations and just practicing things in a different way has been like so beneficial.
For those of the people listening who maybe need a bit of that roadmap, even though their roadmap might look differently, Jessica, can
Right.
you remember what some of the first things were in terms of intervention that you guys sought out?
Yeah, like it was a lot of trial and error. Some things were going well and some things weren't. We had Eva in going to like a therapist session every month. And what we quickly found out within like the first 5, 6 months is she didn't really need to be in it on her own per se. She was quite little, but our whole family needed to be in it, especially my other daughter. She like has lived through a lot too with this diagnosis. And I know that she needed somebody to vent to, not just mom and dad. And my husband and I needed to go together just to help figure out a game plan where we were on the same page. Because this is a lot to deal with. This diagnosis is a lot to deal with because, like, you find out that your kid has neurodivergence and it is hereditary. So one of us has it or both of us. So that was a lot to accept. Like you just kind of go through the whole like I always call it like you're going through the stages of grief because you have to like, you're in denial, you're angry about it, you have to accept it at some point. Like this is like, and we all have different timelines for that. So I was way ahead. I feel like I was 3 to 4 steps ahead of my husband because he was in a different stage. So for us to finally get on the same page just made our whole household feel a little bit more and that we had a strong plan moving forward, that we were on each other's team kind of thing. Whereas before it was just like, we're kind of just putting the onus on these therapists to help our child. This is a whole family dynamic. Like you can't just expect Eva to do the work and not the rest of us. Right. So I went to therapy to help me like gain more clarity on how to advocate for her, how to help my other daughter, how to just navigate my own feelings about it all. There's a lot to handle right off the hop. So giving yourself some grace in that roadmap is going to be is a huge thing because sometimes you think you're doing the right thing and then you just like, no, there's something more that needs to happen here. And we had did speech with my daughter as well on a monthly basis, went to OT, which was super helpful. We actually had some tutoring done with my daughter too, because she learns better in a smaller environment as opposed to a big giant group setting. So that really boosted her confidence because she then again felt so much more confident in her ability to do schoolwork, which was another huge thing. The most recent one that we've done, which we feel has like been the most helpful for us, and I was not going to go for it because I just didn't really know a whole lot about it, is actually she's been going to the chiropractor a lot. She goes almost twice a month. And that has been such a huge help that I wish I would have done earlier because it was like, it was the modality of intervention that I have seen improve her almost instantly. And it was wild to see. So I would encourage you to kind of look into that kind of modality of like helping your kiddo with their vagus nerve and just helping them reset that because it improves their sleep. It improves their digestion, it improves their mood significantly, and also helps their body align. And that was probably, I would never have thought of that 5 years ago. Just being in this community of Instagram moms that are in the same boat as me and have just been trying to find my own resources and support groups, which is the biggest one, I would say. And you're one of the biggest helps in my in my whole journey too, because we've been going through it together, and like what's going on with Abner and what's going on with Eva, and we're trying to figure out what's what, and are we in the same boat? And I wouldn't have even found a nurse practitioner if it wasn't for you, because I was like at my wit's end trying to find somebody that would look at Eva and also help us trying to find the right medication for her. So it's just all those things were a huge thing for our roadmap. Obviously, it's going to be different for everybody, depending where you live, on your financial situation. I know I'm very privileged, even just using one or two at a time, just to see how the intervention supports your goals, or if it's not, then move another direction. This stuff takes time and it doesn't happen overnight.
What I heard you say, Jessica, was like, first and foremost, parent support or family support on how to be in an environment where one or more than one person is neurodivergent and or like just like a dysregulated human, right? And
Yeah.
so parent support, professional support in terms of what are the professionals you can pull in, whether that is psychologists, social workers, play therapists, music therapists, occupational therapists, speech pathologists or speech therapists. And then that last one that you said, body interventions, I'm like nodding my head as you're saying it, because that's a relatively new one for us too. For my son, massage, like deep, not like deep tissue. It's not like that. It's like pressure,
Right.
deep
Yeah.
pressure on the body. He actually told me after 3 years of like off and on kind of talk, play, child therapy, he came home from one session one time and he was like, Mom, I know everything they're trying to teach me. Like you and dad talk about this stuff all the time. I know it. It's not that I don't know my window of tolerance, my stress cycles, what I need to do when I'm dysregulated. That's not it. It's like, I know all of that stuff. They're not teaching me anything new. It's that when I am dysregulated, I can't
Yeah.
access it. And
Yeah.
so, and he's like, he has very good language around it. And so then we sat down, and instead of being mad that the therapy that costs a lot of money per hour wasn't actually teaching him anything, he already knew the skills. We had to
Yes.
move to a more body-based intervention. And so
Yes.
actually, how do we get
Agreed.
your physical body out of fight or flight, or like prepped for the fight, right? His body is often primed and ready. It and so a big part of some wiring of ADHD is that they get a lot of dopamine from arguing, from like raged voices. Like, and he has said to me, I want you to yell at me, because then as soon as I yell at him, it's over, right? It's like whatever buildup he is expecting, whatever body release he needs from that to be able to yell at me back, he's looking for it. And so when we do the body-based interventions, the body is calmer, which means in his case, his mind is calmer.
Yeah. Absolutely agree. It's mind-blowing how different she feels after her chiro appointment. Like sometimes she's like the first time she went to bed without melatonin the first time in 4 years. But she was just like, for the first time I saw her body just relax. And I've never, like, she's always up and busy, and like you sense that she's always in a sense of fight or flight. And after that session, we took video of it. It was like bizarre. I just never, like, I'm like, is this some kind of like witchcraft? What is happening?
Right?
Cause like, what is happening? And, I think it also came back to is immediately ask your OT or or your physician to check your child's primitive reflexes. Because a lot of kiddos that I have talked to, or a lot of parents that have kids with neurodivergence, say that their kids they still have them. And whether it's the rooting reflex, their ATNR, things that are like, if you remember back in like school where you learned about these reflexes where if you like touch your hand and your fingers are and same thing with your feet. Like my daughter had every single one of these. And I had asked my physician and my OT that for this, and they said they weren't there. And when we went to the chiropractor, they were. So she recommended some other cool things about crossing your midline and helping get rid of these types of reflexes. And I feel like a lot of the things that we were doing in OT and also at home because of this chiropractor has significantly helped her. And yes, you're right. She knows how to do all the coping strategies, but in the heat of the moment, she will not access them. And, I think that's a lot with adults too. Like everybody kind of gets, when you get to that moment of over your threshold, you're not going to like, do you calm down when your husband says to calm down? No.
Yeah.
So like none of this happens. So, but like now that she's coming into this as maybe growing up older, she's starting to sense her body finally this is happening. Like I never thought this was going to happen, but now she's finally seeing it in her body and feeling it in her body that she's like, oh, something's coming up in me. I'm going to go swing. I'm going to go do some heavy work. I'm going to go roll up in my weighted blanket. So I don't have to tell her to do these things. I don't have to be so hyper vigilant and looking for her triggers because she's starting finally to see it in herself. And yeah, it's wild. Like to the point now where she is playing sports and not just playing sports, she's like crushing it in team sports, which I never thought would happen. Like that's very rare for kiddos with autism and ADHD. They're usually really like single sport or activity people. And she's trying new things. Although her sensory needs are still there, like some things really still bother her in terms of clothing and hair stuff. She's significantly better than she used to be. She's just being more self-aware. I just didn't know if this day would come, and it is. And it's like I just want to tell your listeners that there could be some hope if you just keep at it with your early interventions and really just take it in. Take it in. If you are here, please tell your story to other moms. Reach out to this community because I know when we first got the diagnosis, I wanted to hear this podcast. I wanted to hear that there is like a silver lining, like there's going to be a turn in the road where things are starting to look up. And it's not saying that you're not going to have a bad day or two or three, but it's just you as a family will start to adjust. Your regulation will get better. I wanted to hear that there's going to be like some awesome hope,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in
And that
the clouds there for us.
for me, that all the effort will
Mhm.
pay off at some point.
Yeah.
Like not only that, like you're going to feel like you got your money's worth because that for people who are struggling financially, that's a big part of it.
Yes,
We have
it is.
$300 for counseling and massage benefits every year. Like that's
Yeah.
all we have. And for a period of time when we moved, so 2 years ago we lived in Regina. Now we live in a town outside of Edmonton. And for about 6 to 9 months, we didn't have benefits. And between the three out of the four of us diagnosed and seeking active treatment, between medication, massage, and therapy, it's about $1,200 a month. And so like not only that, I don't want to say that it was a sacrifice because I would never change the way that we allocated those resources, but it is something that kind of stirs up in me in that time frame when I saw people going on vacation or being able to be a little bit open or freer with their finances. And I was like, mathematically, I don't understand this. And then one day it just clicked when I just happened to go to the pharmacy to pick up all three of our medications on the same day.
Right.
And it was like,
Mhm.
that's right. Right. This is a
Right.
monthly fee that we are paying that could equal a vacation. Oh,
Yeah.
right. Right.
Yeah.
The
Just on those three things, like not let alone like the entire gamut of having ADHD,
no,
the ADHD time
the
period
ADHD
alone.
tax, which that was the title of our last episode. For anybody who's wondering, is like if you are feeling financially strained because of these things, it's real and it's true and it's valid. And so I don't want to say that we're like on the maybe the other side of the hill. There's probably another hill coming, another developmental phase, another thing that will shift or
Right.
change. But like
Puberty.
puberty. But like
Puberty.
right now, we're at this phase where it's like, oh my God, that was so worth it. Like the money, the time, the research, the assessment, those free 30-minute calls that I would sign up for, those PDFs that I would find that they would just give me even just one little nugget of like, this is how you could do your morning different. This is how you could do your evening different. Now, not everything can be optimized for anybody who feels like they are in a hypervigilant place right now. Not everything can be optimized. However, over time, your resources, your gathering of the people, the professionals or the friends or the family that are on your team, it matters. If it doesn't matter today, it matters eventually.
Yeah, down the road for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with everything you just said there. When you get that diagnosis and you feel, yes, it's almost like, yeah, it's overwhelming, but I also felt like I needed it, but I didn't know what to do with that information. And sometimes the trial and error is worth it. Sometimes it isn't, but you'll know quickly. And don't beat yourself up if things aren't working as great as you want. Pivot and do something different. Maybe it's just a therapist change. Maybe it's, you realize, oh, my child is more body based. Maybe you realize, oh, my daughter is really gravitating towards this style of learning about her body and her behavior. Maybe it's just, sometimes it's about just finding your people and just going through the motions. It goes like this. I will say it's not a fine little lovely curve on a graph. It is like this. And like I was saying before, like I almost didn't want to say to you how great things were, because I know I'm so used to having the shoe dropping and my shoulders being like this, waiting for the next moment, where we were walking on eggshells constantly in our house, waiting for her to explode like a bomb. And she hasn't had a sensory meltdown in over 18 months. And I can finally be like, okay, this is what it feels like to like not be in survival mode. And I just want to say to all the moms and dads out there that it's going to come. It's going to come. You just need to get the supports in your court. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, Jessica, thank
Yeah. So good.
you so much for sharing your story of hope and the way that you accessed resources and the willingness that you had to dedicate time and other resources to supporting what needed to be supported. Just a little like shameless PSA for anybody who is looking for support. I can be that person, or I
Yes.
can not be that person. I can be the person who hooks you up with somebody in your area, your jurisdiction, your province. There are so many great people doing things and providing services across Canada or provincially or locally. And those people can be really hard to find or hard to vet. A lot of my clients will share with me that like it's not because of a lack of resources. It's because there's potentially too many choices.
Yeah.
What
Overwhelming.
do you go on? What fee do you pay? How much is too much? Do you do a full psychoed assessment, or do you just fill out the screeners with your doctor? Like, what is the way to do this? And so if anybody is at a place of confusion, inner conflict, still trying to find their people, please message me, message Jessica, hopefully put you in front of the people who specialize in this, who know what they're talking about, who aren't just going to say things like, oh, well, you should get more exercise, or, oh, you should cut out red dye number 3. Those things are really helpful, but in the end, that's not that one thing isn't the only contributing factor to like regulating and recalibrating and living life in this way.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, definitely reach out to Kayla. She's amazing. She's got so many amazing resources. Just go on her website. I feel like she's one of the first places I went to get information, and we immediately clicked, and I'm so happy for that. If it wasn't for Kayla, I would probably still be struggling finding somebody that would help my daughter find medication. So thank you, Kayla.
Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that so much. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having this conversation. I will link all of our other conversations below in case you wanted to check out those other ones on ADHD tax and how minimalism or essentialism can really help your home environment. And I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to the Chill Like a Mother podcast.
Take care.